it's Gloria Stengel from Scraps of Life. I'm sharing with you today a couple of little flip albums that I made that I would like to explain to you how to create the base to them. I've gotten a lot of comments and emails of people wanting to see a tutorial on that. So I'd like to show you the two little books, and then I'll explain to you how to make the actual base of the book. The first book is this little Valentine themed book that I made for Graphic 45 back when I was on the Graphic 45 design team. I've used a lot of the older, mostly retired collections, anything that had sort of a red theme that I could use for this little book. I pulled from my stash and created this for one of my design team projects, probably a year and a half ago, I would guess. But I centered everything around this image cut from one of the Place and Time papers. It's the February cut-apart sheet from that collection. And then I've used this beautiful floral from Birdsong. I have to admit that that was not one of my favorite collections just because it's such a specific theme. In my mind, I had a hard time with it, but I did love that beautiful cherry blossom paper with all of the red and cream and pale pink. It's beautiful. It was perfect for this project. But I just kind of glammed up the front a little bit with some flowers, paper flowers, and then some Scrabble tiles to spell love, and a couple of the cut-aparts from the collection. But this book is really nice because you don't need a fancy closure, just some ribbon, and it stays closed. This is the kind of book that has two spines. This is, I think, a 3¼ inch, or I'm sorry, 3/4 inch spine on each side. The original design of this had just paper that folded, but my book was so fat that I needed spines, so I redesigned it to have spines instead of just to be folded, which makes it kind of a unique little book. It's a very simple book on the inside. There's not a lot going on, just places for photos and then a few little embellishments that I used throughout. Places for photos here where you can slide the photo under. I popped this up with some foam dots. This is an older collection. I think Baby to Bride. I liked the pinks. It seemed to kind of go well with the theme. You flip it again, and again, more spaces for photos, chipboard elements. I made some glittery wings with a pair of just naked chipboard. I inked them and glittered them. And when you flip it again, you've got another little page with a flap where you can add some journaling, more area for photos, just kind of simple things. I used a border punch here to create some hearts. And you open again, another flip. This is actually from the January Place and Time sheet, but I just thought it was so cute. I love those little guys. This is probably the 8x8 collection because it's small. And flip open again. Sometimes, this is a sticker, but I've got it mounted on some chipboard to raise it up a little bit. A little lock charm that I found in my stash, more of the red ribbon. And then the inside doors, I call them doors. I sort of keep them closed with one of the postcard images, and then flip, and then one of the small Place and Time calendars for February, and images cut from, probably this was either May or June, one of the other collections. It's hard to remember, it's been a while since I made this. This is cut out with an X-Acto knife so that you could put a slide of photo in behind there. The key to this little book, to folding it up properly, I was telling my students to remember right, left, right, left. If you close it right, left, right, left, right, left, it will always close perfectly, and you will just tie it closed again. Let's take a look at the little 4th of July one. This one's a little skinnier. I taught this as a charity class, so I needed to have it be a little less, not so thick, and not so many layers. Not only did we have a time constraint, but we had a budget constraint that I had to abide by. So I made this one a little slimmer. So this one is 1/2 inch instead of the 3/4 of an inch. And this collection, I again used place and time for the image. I love this little image. And then I used Mother Goose, Typography, French Country, I think were the other collections I used for this one. The plaid is from Mother Goose. It's one of the B-sides of Mother Goose. I used again some flowers. I've got some little sequins here. Instead of Scrabble tiles, I printed Scrabble tiles onto paper and cut them out and popped them up with pop dots. It was a cheaper, less expensive way to go for the class. Each student got a page of the Scrabble tiles that they could cut apart and spell what they wanted, and I had some sticker words. Mine says 4th of July and then Independence Day. But again, we just open the ribbon and flip it open. The book is designed exactly the same way as my first one. Again, this was a class I needed to put together. I decided not to reinvent the wheel, but to just do the same basic layout again, only this time with more 4th of July type things. So you can see this is a French Country and Typography for the background. Again, typography here. A little pinwheel. This is a die cut that I die cut 25 of these, one for each student, and they can put them together with a little brad. And more of the Scrabble tiles. This is an image from Place and Time, a Tim Holtz stamp onto just a little shipping tag. The plaid is French Country, and the polka dot is Mother Goose, I think. But I glued one of the Place and Time journaling spots onto that. Some die cut elements here. Graphic 45 key from their Staples line. More of the Mother Goose. Who knew Mother Goose would work so well? And then flip it over. Some of the images that I have are from Polly's Paper Studio. My friend Ginny owns that, and she has some great vintage images, and she sent me a page of images to use for this project. Ginny is now on the 2014 Graphic 45 design team, so I'm sure you'll be seeing her work all over the web soon. Flip open again, more little stars, some candy dots, which are what I call paper brads. You put them on with a foam dot underneath, and they kind of raise up. They're a little bit shimmery and kind of cool. For the doors on this one, I kept it very simple, just decorated the flaps. This is Jenny Bolin. These bingo cards are no longer available, but you can download the files and print them out. She has those for sale for a couple of dollars on her website. I'll have that link in my blog for you to download those, as well as the other things that are downloaded. And then open the doors and more decoration, some sticker letters. And this is a pocket that I created. This is typography paper here with one of the Place and Time strips that I cut out and decorated. And then I just used postcard from the Place and Time and the rest of the little tags that I didn't use for anything else. I stuck in there, cut out from Polly's Paper Studio, and then I stamped this image onto a bigger shipping tag. Put some ink around the edge. I love a pocket. I love tags, so this was kind of a fun thing to have at the end of the project. Sort of a little surprise in here once you get it all unfolded. Again, if you fold right, left, right, left, right, left, you're back where you started. And now I will explain to you how to actually build the base of the book. It's a little complicated in written terms to explain, although I do have pretty good directions. I would like to just explain to you how to build it and how to change the spine if you need a spine that's fatter or thinner than the one that I have used. Okay, here we go. We're going to now make the base. I've just used some white cardstock to sort of show you how to put this together. on my very dirty craft mat. You can tell that I create a lot because my mat is so filthy dirty. I have scored everything already with my scoreboard, and then I just marked every score with a pen line so that you could see it. The camera was having a very hard time picking up the scoring, so I just marked it with a pen so that you could see. And I will have all the directions written out for the measurements, so if I talk too fast or you don't catch them, they will be up on the screen or written down in the blog for you to see. So the first thing you want to do is cut a 12-inch by 6-inch piece of cardstock, and then you want to score it at 2.5 and 3 and 9 and 9.5. What that does is give you a 6-inch section here, and then these two little flaps. So you will want to fold on those score lines, and when you fold them, really burnish them down with your bone folder. I'm just going to do this very quick so that you can see. So this is how you're creating those two spines. If you can see, this is the 1/2-inch version. You have a 1/2-inch spine here. You open that back up again, and you'll cut 2 pieces of 6 by 6 paper. You'll need 2 of those, and you'll want to use some really strong adhesive like score tape or something. I'm just going to use my tape, ATG tape, to stick this down quickly so that you can see what to do. You're going to just put tape on that flap that you've created, and you'll take the 6 by 6 sheet and you'll butt that right up to the score line. You can see with my pen line where that score line is. You don't want to cover it, you just want to match it right up to it, matching up your paper at the top and the bottom. So when you fold, you're still able to fold that, and you'll have this little sort of seam on the outside. It doesn't matter, you're going to cover that anyway. You can have the seam on the inside or the outside, it doesn't really matter. I just like to put it on the inside for stability's sake. You'll want to do the same thing on the other side. You'll put adhesive on the little flap, and then you'll match your 6 by 6 square right up to that score line. So now what you have are 3 panels of 6 by 6, 6 by 6, and 6 by 6 with your 2 1/2-inch spines. So if I show you, you can see that you have the base of your book. Next, you'll want to cut 3 sheets of 12 by 6, so 12 by 6, and you want to score at 3 and 9 inches. You'll cut 3 of those, and you'll just fold and burnish at your score lines for all 3. Measurements are very simple, no strange. For this size book, they're pretty simple. You could change them and make a different size, but this was a really simple way to make a 6 by 6 book. Measurements came out nice and even if you work in inches. Now you want to take your main base where you have the 2 spines. You want to open that up, and you're going to put adhesive in that very center. And you'll do a better job of putting, you want really strong adhesive. You don't want to get any adhesive in these 2 channels that are your spines. You'll take one of those scored pieces that you scored at 3 and 9, fold the doors closed, and you're going to line the back of it up with the inside of that first panel, just like that, so that now you've got doors here. You're going to take and put adhesive on the outside of this door, you take your second sheet of 6 by 12 that you scored at 3 and 9, and you're going to line up that one 3-inch flap with this 3-inch flap that's the door of your inside piece. So it's still a door, but now you've got this other piece glued to it. Okay, so do the same thing here. Line it up. Okay, now you have your doors. This is the page where I put the pocket on the little 4th of July. The doors will close, right, left. Then you close this right, close this left, right, left, and you have the base of the book. It was very easy. Now what I recommend is that you label everything, because once you start building it, the students in my class got it all flipped funny and had the wrong page on the wrong page. So I recommend labeling everything so that you would you would know what piece is what. So for example, this would be the cover, and you flip it over and that's the back. And then what I do is when I open it, I go left to right. Whatever naked piece I see will get a page number. So this would be page 1 and page 2. Then I will open it. So then this is page 3 and page 4. Now open it again. So this is page 5, but this is a flap. And this is the inside flap. And this is actual page 5. So then this would be page 6. See where I'm going? Now this is 7, and this is the flap of 7, the main page of 7. So these little doors would be 8, the inside of 8, and then this is 9, or this is 8, 9, however you want to call it. So that when you start building it, if you get, say you misfolded it, you'll know. Whoops. Okay. My students just had a difficulty kind of keeping in their head what page was what. So I would just label them with a pencil. You can label them smaller than what I did here, but just so that you know when you start decorating what page is what. Especially if you follow through with my directions, I have it labeled page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, etc. And that is all there is to it. The next step is just to pull out whatever papers and themes that you would like and go to town decorating it. Again, it's very simple to slap this together and then start decorating it. It looks like a complicated project, but it really isn't. Now I want to show you how you go about getting this spine larger or smaller. It is very simple. When you take your base page that originally it's 12 by 6, and you want this panel to be 6 inches, so you're going to score at 3 and at 9. But to make your spine bigger, we had scored at 2.5. Well, instead of scoring at 2.5, you can score at 2. And instead of scoring at 9.5, you can score at 10. So now when you fold this, you'll have a fat spine. That's a 1-inch spine. It doesn't matter how big these flaps are because you're going to glue your 6 by 6 sheet to it. Remember, we had the flap and we glued a 6 by 6. I'll just pull it off. You can do the same thing here. You just glue it. The flap is just a little smaller, but once you glue that on, you have your 6 by 6. So as long as you have a little bit of a flap here, you can make your spine bigger you know, up to probably 2 inches you could go. So you could have a 2-inch book. It also allows you to add more layers on the inside, so you can have even more pages to flip through. So if you have a bigger spine, the only issue is that some of these inside pages you may also have to spine them. You can see how mine are just folded, that once it gets very thick, you may have to add spines to the inside, which gets a little more complicated. It's just more math. But that's how I was able to have one book that was thin with the 1/2 inch spine and one that was closer to 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch. So you can see the difference when I hold them next to each other. And so that is the video. I hope that it was helpful. I have a downloadable sheet for the patriotic book. It's a step-by-step, has all of your cuts, cut list for everything, so that you know the sizes, and then again you can use any paper you want and any theme you want and create your own book. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a fun time creating.